Welcome back, everybody, to another video by Imagi Fantasy Football. We're back here with another RB PPR ranking video for 2021. Last video we did rankings 1 to 6, so make sure to check that one out before you come to this one. You don't want to get any spoilers. So without talking too much, let's just get right into it. At number 7, starting off, we got Ezekiel Elliott. Ezekiel Elliott coming off a pretty an uncharacteristic season for him, but we still think Imagi Fantasy is going to be number 7. That's the average rank we have him at. We have John had Zeke at 8, and then the others had Don had Zeke also at 8. Nab had Zeke at 7. Han had Zeke at 7, and I had Zeke at 7 as well. So it's pretty much around 7 to 8. And what are your thoughts about this, guys?
Yeah, so he was very mediocre last year. I think that's the best way to put it, especially based on his draft position. Ezekiel Elliott, I think this year, though, with Dak Prescott coming back off the injury, with Dak Prescott last year, he was a top 3, top 5 type running back in PPR. This year, Dak Prescott is back, so I think as long as he is their starting quarterback, Ezekiel Elliott is going to be a safe RB1 option. He's not going to have those extreme boom weeks where he's going to win you a week. He doesn't usually do that. That's not his MO, but he won't lose you a week. He will always put up minimum 10 points with the work that he gets. Um, their offensive line, last year it fell apart. It was absolutely atrocious. Both starting tackles were out, but this year they're both coming back. Maybe hopefully they're healthy. Maybe I think Zeke this year, he's probably one of the safer picks in the first round.
Yeah, with Zeke for last year, I mean, it was just the worst situation you could have possibly been in. I mean, your starting quarterback goes out, your O-line gets absolutely destroyed. Tyron Smith, Lyle Collins, Zach Martin all getting hurt for a portion of the season, if not the entire season. So, I mean, it was just the worst possible situation for him. But with Dak, I think he was the number 3 running back through those 4 or 5 weeks that Dak was healthy. He's got a very safe receiving floor. I think you're getting 15 to 25 a week with Ezekiel Elliott as your number 1 running back. So very safe floor, a pretty good ceiling. So yeah.
All right, now moving on. Now we have Austin Ekeler at number 8. I personally love this guy. He's in a dynamic offense with the Chargers. I know I mentioned it in previous videos. Just stressing on it again. Last season he was injured for a good amount of the season, so the stats aren't really representative of his talent. But he's the clear-cut RB1 in that offense. He's going to be Justin Herbert's security blanket, and I think he's going to have definitely number 8 is a great spot to draft him. If you want to draft him earlier, I don't even blame you for that.
No, just to start off with Ekeler, he missed like all of was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, pretty much all of 7 games, and the guy still finishes with 54 receptions. So I mean, there's upside here for over 100 receptions, and if you get that, then I mean, and along with the rushing work that he's also guaranteed to get, he's going to be easily an RB1. He got top 5 upside. Herbert in that offense, he really looks only for Ekeler and Keenan Allen at like almost on so many of the plays. So he's going to have a safe floor, and he's going to have a pretty high ceiling, honestly, too.
Yeah, I agree. And I just want to go over where we had these guys ranked now before you go ahead and give your thoughts about that. John had him at 7. Don had him at 7. Nav, you had him at 9, which is a bit which one past this. And I had him at 8. But Han had him at 15. So first, Nav, you go ahead, give us your 2 cents on Ekeler, and then we need to question this guy Han because he's definitely tripping on something.
Yeah. Rohan actually had Ekeler at RB16 before this Cam Akers injury happened. So I don't know what is going on there. I personally had him at RB11, but I had him way too low. I'm looking back at it. The Chargers offense is going to be an elite offense this year. Justin Herbert, he's going to keep developing, and he's just he's a phenomenal talent. And they have a new offensive coordinator there in Joe Lombardi. With Anthony Lynn there, they always wanted to use Ekeler with another running back like a hammer. They had Melvin Gordon. They moved on to Josh Kelly, Justin Jackson, those type of guys. But this year with Joe Lombardi, Ekeler might take over like a good portion, maybe like 40-50% of the carries in that Chargers offense, and that's going to be a boon for his fantasy value. So he definitely has that like top 5 fantasy running back upside, especially in PPR leagues.
Yeah, for me, I had him late RB15, or now 15 was at 16. I don't really like these guys are mentioning, he's a good pick. If you want to take him at 7, 8, even 6, go ahead. Sure, not a bad pick at all. For me, I'm not doing that. I'm taking him late. don't really have many actual reasons. Just a person, like for me, I have personal reasons. This might be why I haven't done as well in the last 2 years. I've been relying a lot on my personal reasons, but this is just me. I don't like him. Like Nav was talking about how they already did the split last year, right? Guy got injured anyway. I don't trust him to stay healthy. I feel like I just don't trust him to stay healthy. I don't like him. I'd rather plenty of other guys over him. His touches is not an issue. Like it's a good thing for him. Like 54 is ridiculous. He got 54 receptions and missed 7 games, like Origin said. Yeah, I just don't like this guy. In a 17-game season, staying healthy probably could, like, he has a good chance of hitting 100 receptions. Let's be honest. If he stays healthy, I'm just worried about his injuries. So I dropped him. I might have been a bit of a drastic drop, but yeah.
Bro, what?
I
Do you
thought,
not
what
like
is
the way the guy
reason for
looks or
not
something?
liking him? What were you saying?
I just told
What was
you.
your
Well,
It's just because
So-
he probably doesn't like the way the guy looks. It's okay, bro.
yeah, like okay. Let me just give you some example, right? So like Arjun, or I don't know if do all you guys remember when I didn't like Kamara?
Yes.
Yeah,
'Cause you
I
thought
said
the guy
Kamara-
was a stick.
I thought Kamara would get hurt, and what happened?
He didn't get
Dude, he got hurt
He
for
was
like
RB1.
3 games.
No, he played a full season injured. Literally the whole season he was hurt.
And he was
And
still
he
a
was-
very good player.
No, he was good, but he didn't have
So-
up to his standards of a season.
I don't see
that's
the
the
Nah,
point.
bro. I don't know what
So
you're
you're
on
saying
about.
because
That's
he
just
collected
what
an
I'm-
injury before,
Yeah,
Ekeler's
yeah,
gonna
you
get
know-
injured now? That makes
Nah,
no
bro,
sense.
Guys,
That's my argument, bro.
viewers, don't mind what this
There's
guy's
just
saying.
guys.
Ekeler's gonna
There's
be a
just
stud.
guys I avoid, and this year Eckler's that avoid guy. I won't take him on any,
Okay, all right.
no matter
I
what.
want to point something out. Rohan single-handedly dropped Austin Eckler's consensus ranking, I think, by 1 or 2. We would have had him at around RB6, RB7, but our Rohan's atrocious ranking of what RB15.
No, yeah, it probably would have
dropped him
been
down.
7 is my guess.
Yeah,
Dropped-
7.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
dropped him down a spot or 2.
I think it would have been 7. Yeah, I don't think it was that big of a drop.
And then just one more
No,
thing
no,
on
it was,
Eckler
it was
before
at
we
9 before. It was at
you
9
go.
before. But then I had to
9?
change. I changed my ranking.
Yeah, because we'll get to that later.
Just one more thing on Eckler before we move on. This guy is one of honestly the few guys in the league. Look at his stats right now. In about half the season, he's a little under 1,000 yards. So he's truly got potential for a 2,000-yard season. If he gets a
Okay,
few more.
no, I don't think.
Look at
that's
him right now. He's got
2,000
900.
yards.
Yes.
Combined
no,
with the
like,
season,
what-
right? Combined with the
2,000
season,
Slightly
total
under
yards.
1,000.
Yeah, yeah.
Total
Slightly
yards,
under
okay.
1,000 in about 9 games. Where also in like the first few games he was getting eased back into like a role. I mean, if
Alright,
everything goes
that
right,
makes sense.
the 2,000-yard season isn't something that's like not in the range of outcomes.
I thought you were about to say 2,000 yards rushing at.
No, 2,000
no.
yards total. 2,000 yards.
Total
from
yards,
scrimmage.
okay.
2,000 yards from scrimmage.
That makes
Yeah.
much more sense.
But the
All
thing
right.
with Eckler is
Yeah.
like, as you mentioned, like a large workload for him. He's kind of like that McCaffrey type, frame. While he could have a big year, God knows what's gonna happen.
No, he's
with his
not.
health.
No, he's not.
Hey, Rohan, bro,
McCaffrey's
stop
almost
talking.
6
Stop
feet
talking.
tall, and he's what 5'7", 5'8".
That's
Aside-
even more good, bro. That's a better. You just helped me, bro. Thank you. Yeah, it's even
Rohan,
more.
stop talking, bro.
Yeah, this is
Aside
not a good
from-
look for you, bro.
aside-
It's not a good look.
Aside from what Rohan is saying, I think Eckler is one of the safest picks at the end of the first round. I mean,
Yeah.
anyone can get injured, so we can't really predict injuries. But if this guy plays the full 17 games, it's 100 receptions, maybe even 1,000 rushing yards. So
Exactly.
I think he's one of the
same.
safest.
Another thing, 17 games. I mean, 2,000 yards.
Yeah,
you know,
he can
bold prediction right
definitely-
now.
Hey,
Austin Eckler gets 2,000 yards.
don't draft him expecting 2,000 yards. Obviously,
No, expect it.
Just
Bold
know
prediction
it's
right
in
now.
the range.
Austin Eckler is going 2,000 yards from scrimmage.
There's like a 2% chance that happens. Maybe.
Yeah,
No,
and
it's
just to
not, bro.
clarify-
No.
It's higher.
It's like 20.
Just to
No,
clarify,
there's not a 1 in 5 chance he goes for 2,000 yards, bro.
Look
Come
at
on.
him right now.
There-
In 9 games, the guy is just under 1,000 yards,
Yeah.
and that's also with getting eased back for like 2 or 3 of the games.
no, 2,000 is different though. We shouldn't be like, no one should be expecting that from anybody.
I'd say
That's not
expected,
1.5K
guys.
is a good
Don't listen to
benchmark.
John.
Expect it from Christian.
1.5K
expect it,
total
and when
yards
it
is a good
happens, You come
benchmark.
back to this video.
And just to clarify again, like Eckler, he's just low for me because he's just that guy for me this year. Like, nah, I'm good. But he's a good player. You should take him early.
All right,
This
yeah,
is
let's
full
move on.
PPR though. I don't.
Yeah, let's move on, bro. Let's move on.
He
Free-
doesn't, yeah,
free, get us
he's
going.
just my guy.
All right, let's move on right now. Enough about Eckler. He's obviously a stud. Going on now to Antonio Gibson at number 9. This guy is some in Imagi said he was the next CMC last year. No.
No. This year, he's the next CMC this year.
All right, he's the next
Definitely.
CMC this year. So apparently that's Nas' bold prediction right now. So this guy last year he had a great season. Towards the end of the season, he was just phenomenal. He was doing great things in the Washington football team offense. Obviously, he had J.D. McKissick there, but he's not going to be a big factor. We discussed this in our breakouts video. Make sure to go check that out for a more in-depth analysis of Antonio Gibson. But for rankings for this guy,
Shree, real quick, was it breakouts or was it bold predictions?
His bold prediction.
I believe
Bold predictions?
Yeah, my bad.
Yeah.
So check out the bold predictions video for Antonio Gibson. Just for rankings here, what we have him. John has Gibby at 10. Don has him at 10. Nob has him at, I believe, 8. Rohan has him at 9, and I have him at 10. So pretty much around the 9-10 range. Nob has him a bit ahead. So Nob, you want to just start us off saying him why you have him like before everybody else?
Yeah. I love Antonio Gibson this year. His passing work was basically his only detriment last year, and that this year, it's still gonna go up. He was a wide receiver coming out of college, and he wasn't getting receiving work. I mean, that writes itself. He's probably gonna get more receiving work as the year progresses. There's really like not a lot to like dislike about this. I think honestly, he might have like top 3 potential. That's definitely something that what?
No, he does. Yeah.
Gibson,
Yeah, he does.
yeah, Gibson can do. His talent is otherworldly, right? And while McKissick had over 100 targets last year, there's no reason to think that Antonio Gibson won't cut into that. And then here's like the main thing that I noticed last year. Through week 12, I believe it was, he got injured in week 13. Through week 12, he was the RB5 in PPR. And the RB5, sure, it's coming off of a huge game against the Cowboys on Thanksgiving, but that's something that he can do. He's capable of doing that. Antonio Gibson is just such a phenom. And sure, his touchdowns could go down from last year. He scored a lot last year at probably an unsustainable rate. But I think the rise in passing work will impact that. And he's also going to get more touches overall. So he's probably going to score the same amount as he did last year. I love Antonio Gibson this year. And there's no one I like. Maybe I'd pick him over, I think, Zeke, or Ekeler too. Like, he is someone who I'd be fine with him as my RB1.
Yeah, with Gibby too. Rohan, give me 1 sec. Just want to point one thing out. If you look between weeks 2 and 12 before he got hurt, and not including week 1, Gibby had 1 game below 10 points between weeks 2 and 12, and 2 games below 12 points. So he was giving you consistent, like pretty good RB2 production between weeks 2 and 12, and the 1 game below 10 was 9.5. So like, I mean, you obviously want more, but it's not like something awful. I mean, and now this year, like I was saying, more receiving work. I mean, he's one of the few guys you can get the first round who truly could be a top 3, maybe even the best running back in fantasy this season.
Yeah, this guy could be 1,000 yard rusher and 1,000 yard receiver, and that would not
like we were saying with Ekeler.
He's so talented.
I used to have some concerns about this turf toe injury, but at the beginning of June, he said he didn't feel all the way healthy. But I think now it's going to be about almost 2 months. I think that part is safe. The only other thing that concerns me is I think we're kind of overrating Ryan Fitzpatrick and what he brings to this offense. Ryan Fitzpatrick is a good mid quarterback, but I think we're overreacting to how good he's going to make this offense. I think that could also kind of hinder Gibby. And the last thing is J.D. McKissick. As much as I hate J.D. McKissick, you can't ignore 100 targets in a season. And on top of that, as Nav said, Gibby was a wide receiver coming into the NFL. So if you're not giving a wide receiver converted to a running back receptions out of the backfield, that is something to monitor. I think McKissick should be kind of phased out of this offense, but those are just 2 things I'd monitor. But I definitely think Gibby can be top 5.
McKissick was also a wide receiver coming out of college as well. He had like a season in college where he had over 100 receptions and over 1,000 receiving yards. So he's also a very talented receiving back. But the Washington football team, they're gonna want to make Antonio Gibson their feature running back, and they even said that last year that they weren't giving him the whole workhorse role because he was still a rookie and he was so inexperienced. Like last year, in his college career, he had 77 touches, and then he still came out and did what he did last year. This guy is still inexperienced, and he's doing stuff like this. So I just have so much faith in Antonio Gibson. I'd love him, especially in like dynasty leagues too. I have him as a top 4, top 5 running back in dynasty leagues.
Yeah, for real.
Yeah, and
Gibby
it's
go
not
crazy.
Yeah, and it's not mentioned like his detriment in receptions in receiving work. He still had 36 receptions, and it's already been said that McKissick's targets will go down. Like it's already been said. And Gibby missed. I think he missed a couple games, so it's easy. Like he'll probably easily reach the 50 reception mark, probably more. Definitely will have an increase in carries because you saw he didn't have as big as a load to start the season. So yeah, I agree with Nav completely. I feel like this guy has like a top 3 RB ceiling.
Now going on to RB number 10 here, we have Jonathan Taylor. Jonathan Taylor had above 1,000 yards rushing last season, had a decent work in the receiving game too. For him, he had a great season, but I personally do not like Jonathan Taylor because especially with Naeem Hines cutting into the work with the return of Marlon Mack, I don't like that because I don't want when I wanted to be drafting my like a top 10 running back. I want to make sure that they have a clear cut role on their offense. And so getting into the rankings here, John has JT at 9, Don has him at 11, Nav has him at 10, Han has him at 8, and I have him at 9. So let's just get the discussion started on this guy.
Yeah,
So
with JT for me, sorry,
go
but
ahead. No, you go.
yeah,
You go.
with JT, like at Imagi, we probably have him fairly low in regards to the more consensus area for his ADP right now. I would say, we have an RB10, right? And he's basically a first round pick in most drafts. So it's kind of for me, right? I mean, Marlon Mack coming back. Marlon Mack is coming off an injury, but like if you guys recall week 1 last year when Mack was healthy, he was going crazy, like absolutely going crazy. Then he got hurt. JT stepped in. He had a great year last year, but I don't know. We don't know what Frank Reich's going to do again. I think he said he's going to ride the hot hand a little bit too. So, JT, you can't deny, like the guy had 1,000-yard season as a rookie. So, I mean, it should get better. I think JT has a ceiling of maybe a top 5 RB, but he also, I would say he has a floor. I feel like he's a safe guy. I mean, I feel like his floor is maybe at worst like the 12th RB if he stays healthy.
Yeah.
So I think I can see him like right around like the 7 to 10 is like a perfect area for him.
No, and just what I was going to say with Taylor is that, I mean, the talent's clearly there. He's extremely talented. He rushed for over 200 yards, and I think it was against the Jacksonville Jaguars, 253 yards. I mean, it's just absolutely insane. It's just that, I mean, they re-signed Marlon Mack, which I did not expect at all. I thought for sure Mack would be gone somewhere else, which already I don't like that. But then Reich said like JT's clearly the primary runner. That's something we already knew, but he's saying so he's going to ride the hot hand, and the Colts beat reporters speculating that Taylor's going to get around 60% of the carries, with Mack checking in around 25%, which for me, I mean, 60% of the carries for my RB1, it's just not something I like to see. I mean, clearly Taylor's very talented, but he also doesn't get that much receiving work either because Hines is there as the clear-cut passing down back. So 36 receptions, yeah, it's a good number for Taylor, but I wouldn't expect it to go much higher than that this season either. So I think he's got the top 5 upside, but I would expect him to settle in as a back end RB1 this season.
But perhaps
Yes.
like the Colts. Go ahead, Don.
Yeah, so going off what John said, I mean, he did have like the 250-yard rushing game, but he was also helped by a real easy schedule. He played Houston twice, Las Vegas once, and Jacksonville once. So Houston had like a historically bad rush defense. And I think with the addition of Carson Wentz, last year they had Phillip Rivers, who he was that was the last year of his career, and his arm wasn't what it used to be and all that. But I think with Carson Wentz there, they're going to throw the ball more. I don't think Taylor is. I think he's kind of risky at the end of the first round. I personally would not pick him, but I don't want my RB1 getting 60% of the touches and the coach saying he's going to ride the hot hand. I want someone solid who's like, I know exactly what I'm going to get, because I don't want like Marlon Mack out carrying in 1 week.
No, yeah, what you were saying about Wentz too. I mean, Phillip Rivers, he loves to throw to the running back as well, which Taylor, that could have clearly helped him a lot last year too. Getting the 36 receptions, because Phillip Rivers, we know, loves to throw to running back. We saw that in Los Angeles Chargers with Austin Ekeler getting a lot of receptions. So Carson Wentz, he doesn't really like throwing to the running backs that much. He's a big arm guy, like kind of sling it. So, I mean, we'll see what happens with Taylor.
Yeah, but perhaps the Colts might be trying to do something like what the Browns did, right? Like Nick Chubb doesn't get like that massive workload, but still is so effective behind a solid offensive line. Colts, we already know, great offensive line. Maybe that's what they're trying to emulate. I mean, who knows? I feel like with Taylor having 232 carries as a rookie, I don't think. I mean, he's a rookie and he's getting that many carries. It's kind of like it's awesome. Like it just looks great for him. So I feel like regardless, he's a safe pick here.
Yeah, you can't go. He's a safe pick, I guess you could say. But then again, I mentioned you mentioned the Browns, the Colts. So they have 3 running backs in the carousel, and
Yeah,
with
true.
Naeem Hines there too. So I personally, like I said at the beginning, I don't like this guy, but at number 10, he's a solid pick. You're
Yeah,
gonna
number
get
10
the
JT.
consistent.
If
Yeah.
he's there at 10, you should probably take him. He's a very good value pick at number 10, 11 around there.
Remember, these are our RB rankings too, so you might even be able to get him later. If
Yeah.
most drafts, you will see a receiver go in the first round, maybe Kelsey as well. So
All right, now moving on to unfortunately we had Cam Akers ranked at 11, but unfortunately, as you may know, Cam Akers tore his Achilles recently, and he's going to be a non-factor for the season. We could imagine wishing him hopefully a great recovery, and hopefully he's able to continue his career, but it's rather
speedy
unfortunate.
recovery, bro.
Yeah, speedy
GGT.
recovery.
GWS Acres.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
GWS Cameron.
we do know the Cam Akers with the Cam Akers injury opens up fantasy roles for Darrell Henderson and perhaps some other running backs on that offense. But we'll get into that. Make sure to tune into our next video where we cover the next 12 running backs. So let's just move on right away to our real number 11, who is Aaron Jones. I had this guy in fantasy last year, and I had him. I love Aaron Jones. His role in the receiving game with Aaron Rodgers is great. His rushing game is great. The only thing that bothered me last year was Jamal Williams, but he's gone, but he got replaced by AJ Dillon. So there's no doubting that this guy's great fantasy pick. He definitely gave you that top 10 production. But you got to see, honestly, he's kind of left up in the air with Aaron Rodgers and everything. Rankings for AJ here, we got John got him at 11, Don got him at 13, Nav got him at 12, Han got him at 10, and I got him at 11. So pretty much a little scattered around, but it's the average number settles around 11 for this guy. So thoughts about AJ?
Yeah, I'll start off with him. I mean, Aaron Jones, the ceiling of Aaron Jones it's uncomparable to any other running back in the entire NFL. And that includes Christian McCaffrey and Dalvin Cook. I mean, this guy last year we saw a 45-point game. The year before we saw multiple 45-point games. It's just built different. But I think I personally think Aaron Rodgers won't be there next season, and I think that's gonna significantly hinder Aaron Jones. Like, I mean, Rodgers is just such a big part of the reason why the Packers offense is so good and why Aaron Jones is so good in the passing game. And without Rodgers, I don't know what to expect from Aaron Jones, because AJ Dillon will still be there too to take carries from him in the rushing game. And so, I mean, Jones, I don't think he has the ceiling that we've seen from him in the past. And with Rodgers, I think Jones probably is a top 5 running back. But without him, I mean, I don't see him finishing above like RB8 or 9. And I think he's definitely got a very low floor, maybe RB20, something like that, without Rodgers. So, I mean, if Rodgers comes back, he's going to be phenomenal either way. But with Jordan Love, it's just a little bit risky.
Yeah, and right now it doesn't look like Rodgers will necessarily be back, especially with him denying a big contract extension this morning. And yeah, Arjun put it great. Like, Rodgers is so important at Jones' success because, I mean, the reason he can break off these huge runs is that the Packers, they seem to have control in the game often. You know, Rodgers like commanding that play action as well. He just opens up great lanes for Jones. I mean, he easily eclipsed 5 yards per carry last year. So without Rodgers, like, who knows how this guy will be? He's had Rodgers behind the helm for his whole career. So, you know, assuming Jordan Love steps in, you know, while there have been good reports about him, you know, we don't know what's going to happen. So he's a bit of a risk.
Yeah, but I like to offer like a slight rebuttal to that. As an Aaron Jones owner last year, I watched a lot of his games, and one of the biggest things you could see with Jones is the Packers had a lot of red zone opportunities. They were one of the highest scoring offenses last year, and Aaron Rodgers you wouldn't see Aaron Jones get a lot of handoffs within the 5-yard line. You'd see those play action plays. You see see Davante Adams go out for a route. Robert Tonyan was a big red zone guy, and so although Aaron Rodgers, like you said, is a huge part for Aaron Jones' receiving production, especially in the middle of the field, like near the 50-yard line to get to the red zone, I personally think that with a young quarterback in Jordan Love, who doesn't have that much NFL experience, I think you're going to be hitting the ball more often to Aaron Jones or AJ Dillon, most likely Aaron Jones, especially because Aaron Jones is great at running between the tackles. That's just my 2 cents.
No, that's a great point, Shree. But the question then becomes, are they going to be in the red zone as often as they
Exactly.
were last year?
That's
Yeah.
true.
So,
That is true.
yeah.
Yeah, they got to get there somehow, right? I mean, Jones can only do so much, you know. I mean, we just don't know, right? We just have no idea how it's going to go for him. So,
Yeah, it's true. All right, let's move on to our last guy for today. We got Joe Mixon. Joe Mixon was originally like number 13. He was outside of our top 12, but with the Cam Akers injury, he enters our top 12 again. We got so John got Mixon at 12, Don got Mixon at 12, Nob got Mixon at 13, Han got Mixon at 11, and I got Mixon at 12. So pretty much around the 12 range, except for 111 there. Mixon, I personally don't see Mixon as a like everybody we said before this. I'd pick over Mixon because one of the biggest things that concerns me is the Bengals offensive line and the Bengals scheme. A lot of games I watched last year with the Bengals, you saw them going five wide, and I know Joe Burrow like got injured and like they're obviously not gonna go to the passing formations as much, but Joe Mixon has the talent, but I don't see him finishing higher than 12 this year.
Yeah.
He
So
he went 5 wide. Okay, Don, you can go.
all right, I just want to
Okay.
say I'm probably higher than Mixon than anyone here. I think Joe Mixon. If we say I think I picked Joe Mixon over Aaron Jones and Jonathan Taylor. I think the main thing that was holding Mixon back was Giovanni Bernard and the receptions he had. Now that Giovanni Bernard's gone, I mean, they have Samaje Perine as the backup, so he gets all of the receiving work. Plus, Joe Burrow got the ACL tear, and this guy's a franchise quarterback, right? So they're not gonna rush him in and make him throw just because they got Jamar. They're not gonna just throw every play. They're gonna really run the ball to get Joe Burrow like fully healthy instead of putting too much pressure on him. So I think the offensive line is a big question, but they did add some pieces to it, so it's not as bad as it was last year. And this guy obviously has the talent. So with the talent combined, Joe Burrow getting eased back in, and Giovanni Bernard being gone, I really see this guy as a top 10 running back this year.
Now, you can
the
go real quick
reason-
and then I'll say something.
Yeah. They are going to be a pass heavy team this year. I don't think Zach Taylor really cares about Joe Burrow not being completely fully healthy because his job's on the line. He is on the hot seat. He's going to do whatever it takes to win, and
I
that's
agree.
probably going to mean throwing the football, right? Joe Mixon last year, he wasn't really all that good. He got so many touches, and yet he wasn't really that efficient. He had one huge game, but that was against the Jacksonville Jaguars. Every other game, he wasn't very effective. He had 3.6 yards per carry last year. This guy, I mean, he is fairly talented, but the Bengals are going to be a pass-heavy team this year. And I could definitely see how he doesn't pan out the way people expect him to this year.
Well, just for me with Mixon, I think Mixon's got a pretty high ceiling, and I think his floor is around RB15, so not that low of a floor. Just because he's gonna get the workload still. Like, yeah, they probably will be a bit more pass heavy now with the addition of Jamar Chase, but still Mixon, I think 250 carries is probably a reasonable expectation. Maybe that's honestly the lowest amount of carries. I think that might be the minimum for him. Because if you just look at his carries that he had through the first 6 games of last season when he was healthy, if we extrapolate that to a 17-game season, that's 337 carries, which obviously he's not getting that much work. But, I mean, 250, 275 carries, that's still a very solid amount of carries for him. And if he can just up his efficiency a little bit, I mean, with that type of workload, I mean, we know opportunity is king in fantasy football. So, I mean, I think Mixon's obviously got the talent as well to take advantage of that opportunity. He was signed for 4 years, $48 million. I mean, you don't want to let that go to waste. So, I mean, while they probably will be a bit more pass heavy, I don't think it'll be to an extent that it really takes away a ton from Mixon.
Yeah, but one of the things I wanted to point out here, Mixon, he's playing 6 games against the Ravens, Browns, and Steelers, who all have great run Ds. They have notable guys in their D line. And so 6 games, that's where like that 6-game period is where I see Mixon as falling below expectations, because with that great run defense he's facing more than other running backs. I think his ceiling is I think like his ceiling is a bit higher than 12, but I think 12 is like a reasonable spot to draft him.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's true. He definitely has like a very tough like a division for him. You know, probably one of the harder divisions for a running back. But to go back to what Nav was saying, like I do agree. Like Zach Taylor, he needs to throw the ball. The Bengals need to win. And by winning, they're gonna have to throw the ball, right? But this kind of like for Mixon, right? This hurts him even more than it seems because maybe, with Burrow's injury, looking at that a little bit, right? Maybe this just makes him more, instead of running out for as many receptions and passes as he usually does, maybe he stays back and blocks. Maybe they do 2 running backs back there blocking. And they try to give Joe Burrow that, extra second of time that could help protect him a little more. So I feel like Mixon here, staying healthy, I feel like he can't be worse than as a floor of RB17, but I don't see him having as high of a ceiling as many others might think.
Bro, are you kidding me?
All right. So that wraps up number 6, 7 to 12 for this episode. Thanks for watching, and make sure to like and subscribe and watch the previous video, and make sure to look out for the next video where we do a massive amount, 12 to 24 for inputs. If you're confused on who to draft, this is the place to be. Thank you for watching again. Make sure to leave a comment in here down below to make sure to let us know who you agree with most in the list, and let us know if there's anything we forgot or anything we should get better next time. So thank you, everybody, and see you in the next one.